Hi, everybody, welcome back. I'm Jodie, and each week I share real stories on love, heartbreak, despair, and all the mess in between. And this week we're back to our originals with viewer submitted letters on everything that is red flags and all the things that we do and not see when we're in love. So stick around and let's get into the first letter. So, our first letter is sent in anonymously, and I've chosen it as our first one because I'm hoping that as we read through our letters, the person who has kindly sent me this first story will get the answers that they're looking for. So, the first letter is titled, Is This Normal or Am I Just Numb Now? I don't really know where to start. I'm not even sure if this qualifies as a story. It's not over, I'm still in it. That's why it feels weird writing it in past tense. Nothing's ended, I just keep waiting for something to shift. We've been together for 5 years. I stay home. I mean, that was always the plan. I'd focus on home stuff, he'd focus on work. It worked at first, but now it's like I just wait all day. I wait for him to text. I wait for him to come home. I wait for some version of the person I fell for to show up again. I'm not even lonely in the way you'd expect. It's more like hollow. Like when somebody leaves a room and you just feel the draft. That kind of thing. He doesn't yell, he just doesn't talk. Sometimes days go by and he's in the house, but it's like I'm not there. I'll ask him if he wants to eat, and he'll nod but not look up from his phone. Sometimes I hear him laughing at stuff on Instagram, and I wonder when was the last time he laughed at anything I said. The worst part is when I see my family, they notice. My sister gave me a look last time he came to a birthday thing and didn't say a word to me the whole night. Just stood in the corner talking to my cousin about sports, and then he said he had a headache and we left early. But when I bring it up, he says I'm being dramatic, that I always need something, that I'm the only person who can't just let things be normal. He tells me other couples don't have to make a scene just to feel seen. He actually used those words. Last week he said, "Not everything is about you," because I asked him if he even likes being around me anymore. And then I felt embarrassed, like I was the needy one, like I was making something up just to have a reason to be upset. I don't even post online anymore because I can't stand how fake it would be. And also because he told me my selfies looked like I was trying to be something I'm not. I've never cheated, I've never screamed. I cook, I clean, I check in. I ask him how his day was. I wait to watch our shows together even when he's out late. And I always get the same version of him, polite but cold. Or worse, totally indifferent. But then there are random good days, like last Thursday he came home with a bottle of wine and said he'd missed me. We watched a movie, he held my hand. I almost cried from the shock of it. I thought maybe that's him trying, maybe I've just been too sensitive. But then by Sunday it was back to silence. I feel stupid writing all of this out because it's not like anything big has happened. There's no cheating that I know of, no hitting, no shouting, just this slow erosion of who I used to be. I don't laugh as much, I don't dance in the kitchen anymore, I second guess every outfit, every word. I don't know if I'm in a bad relationship or if I've just become difficult to love. He once said I act like I'm always performing, like I want people to see me. He said that in front of his friends once. I laughed it off, but it stung, and I've been quiet ever since. I guess I just want to know, is this normal? Is this long term? Or am I just scared to admit that I'm already alone? Anyway, that's all I've got for now. Maybe I'll watch this back someday and finally know the answer. Thank you so much for sending that letter. I really try not to get so emotional, especially in the first letter. But there are parts of your story that really broke my heart because you shouldn't have to feel like you're losing yourself. And I know that it can be confusing when they come home and they all of a sudden decide to show up, some unbeknownst reason, and then they disappear again. And you're left wondering what it is that you did right to get that show of compassion, because then you're made to feel that you're doing all the things to cause the silence and the not coming home and the just wishing that you were seen in your relationship. Anyway, thank you. Let's get on to the next letter. And our second letter been sent in anonymously. Jody, please don't say my name. Ready for anybody to know this is me? Not yet. I was in that relationship for 6 years. To most people, we looked solid. Good jobs, holidays, the dog, matching mugs. I posted cute Instagram stories, my parents loved him, but underneath all of that, I was tired. Like soul tired, you know? I don't know what was wrong, I just kept telling myself that relationships are hard, but I didn't feel safe. Not unsafe like I thought he'd hit me, just not safe to feel. If I was sad, it was too much. If I got angry, he'd leave the house and not come back for hours. If I asked for more affection, he'd say I was needy. I stopped asking. I started apologizing for everything, and here's where it gets worse. About a year before we split, I found out he'd been sleeping with somebody else, not just a one-off thing, a full-on ongoing secret life. But you know what I did? I forgave him. I told myself that people make mistakes, that maybe I wasn't giving him what he needed. We went to one therapy session. He said it made him uncomfortable, that he didn't like the vibe, so I dropped it. Dropped everything, actually. Even though my chest physically hurt every time he touched me after that. I didn't tell anyone, not my mum, not my best friend. I was embarrassed. I felt stupid, like how did I not know? But that's the thing about red flags. You don't always miss them because you're blind. Sometimes you miss them because you want the good parts to be real. We broke up when he left. Just left. He packed a bag while at work and texted that he needed space. That was it. You know what? That turned out to be the best day of my life. I cleaned the house, I made tea, I called my mum, and just sat in silence on the phone. I still think about what I missed, but I also think about how far I've come. I started volunteering at a local shelter. I spend my weekends helping women get back on their feet, and it makes me feel like maybe I went through all of that so that I could understand, so that I could be the person I needed back then for somebody else. Anyway, that's it. If this ends up in your video, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your letter. There are so many parts of these stories that trigger something in me and get me so upset because it reminds me of times where I've spent nights feeling like this and not understood what was going on. Finally reconnecting with my parents after disappearing and not even knowing that I had disappeared. And I think that what you realize with these letters is it happens so slowly over time that you don't see that it's going on. You don't realize at the time that you're losing yourself, that your friends miss you, that your parents haven't heard from you, because you don't realize that that's happening, that those changes are being put in place by somebody who has full control over you. And at the time, if you're anything like me, you would have thought you were the most independent woman, that nobody could have kept you down. And yet you were still able to get sucked into something that took everything from you. So I'm really happy to hear that that was the past you and you're starting to rebuild from that. And it's wonderful that you've gone into charity work. There is nothing like the support of somebody that has gone through something so painful and lived to tell the tale that is so helpful to others. So I thank you for that. And let's get on to our third letter. Our third letter is sent in by Naomi, and it's titled, I Thought That's What Love Looked Like. Hi, Jodie. Okay, I've never written anything like this before, and I've had to stop and restart about 5 times. My hands are shaking a bit, but here goes. I stayed for 8 years. That's probably the hardest sentence to admit. Not because I stayed, but because I didn't even realize what I was staying for or what I was staying in. I used to tell myself that no relationship is perfect. Everyone fights, everyone gets tired. I'd scroll past those toxic relationship posts and think, well, that's not me. But it so was. He never hit me, he never shouted. I want to make that clear because sometimes I think, even now, I still use that as a way to let him off the hook. But what he did do was make me question every part of myself. If I got dressed up, he'd raise an eyebrow and say, "What's the occasion?" If I was quiet, he'd say I was sulking. If I was talkative, I was too much. If I made plans, I was selfish, and if I didn't make plans, I was boring. It was never "you look nice." It was "trying hard today, aren't we?" It was never "I missed you." It was "I guess you were too busy to call." Always like I was doing something wrong, but he never said that. He was the king of subtle jabs, the kind that doesn't leave bruises but leaves you questioning your own brain. I lost myself in there, not all at once, in tiny little pieces. My laugh changed. I stopped wearing red lipstick because he said it made me look try hard. I stopped calling my mum when I was upset because he made fun of me for running to her for everything. I stopped watching reality shows and stopped being the person my friends used to come to first for advice. I just became quiet. And then one day, I asked him to pick up oat milk. He came back with regular. When I said it wasn't the right one, he slammed the fridge door and muttered, "You're impossible to please." And I just sat down on the floor and cried. Not because of the milk, because I suddenly realized that I felt like a burden, like an annoying little insect crawling through someone else's life. That's what love had become, and that's what I accepted. I stayed for another 2 months. I kept trying to convince myself that things would shift again, that the version of him from the beginning, the one who brought me soup when I was sick and rubbed my back during cramps, was still somewhere inside there, but he wasn't. Or maybe he was, but he didn't want to be that person for me anymore. I packed my bag. I didn't take the coffee machine that we had bought together. I didn't take the framed prints I picked out, just a bag of clothes and a charger. It's been almost 6 weeks, but I'm getting better. I called my mum last week and we cried together. She told me that she had been waiting for me to come back. So yeah, that's my story. If anybody's watching this and wondering if they're overreacting, they're probably not. Thanks for reading. Thank you so much for sending that through. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Um, I think what hurts me the most is that it's been 6 weeks and it sounds like you've only just reconnected with your mum, and that's not on you. It just reminds me so much of how many times I feel like I've let my parents down in the name of love, and how they always stick around. And yeah, when you lose yourself, you may lose people, but when you're able to find yourself again, the best part is being able to reconnect with the friends that you lost. I couldn't believe how much of my story was identical in other people's story. The way that they were treated, the ups and the downs, and the days of feeling so worthless, just to then be given a gift or just a tiny glimpse of love for that to fix everything. Because in your head, you tell yourself that, oh my God, it's working. They're finally seeing how much I love them, only for that to disappear the next day. And I just always think, how is it that they are all so similar? They all carry these same traits, that they're all so dumb, but yet so capable of control and manipulation and gaslighting. It's like they all went to the same school that we were never told about. And yet we're always left behind without the teachings of knowing how to get through this, how to be strong enough to break through, until sometimes it's too late. And to our first writer, I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom. I really do hope that your future is looking a lot brighter. And, if you're happy and you're in love, if you can work through it and they listen to you and you see real change, fantastic. And if not, well, I wish you all the best. And thanks to everybody for being here. If these stories feel like your own, as always, please do pop a comment below. And if you do want to tell me your story, there are instructions in the description box below the video. So please do submit your story. Thanks, everybody. See you next time. Bye.